everyone. Today we're going to look at slope. Slope is the measure of steepness of a line. The larger the slope is in absolute value, the steeper the line is. And if we know 2 points on the line, which we're going to call x1, y1 and x2, y2, then we can use the following formula to find slope. So slope is usually denoted by the letter m, which comes from the Greek word for mountain, and the equation that we're going to use is y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So it doesn't matter which point is x1, y1 and which point is x2, y2, as long as you're taking the points from one of them and subtracting the points from the other. So it could be y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2, but as long as the subscripts match, that's what really matters. Sometimes you'll see this in the following formula. It looks like a triangle. That is the Greek letter capital delta, and it means a change in. So delta y means a change in y over delta x, a change in x. This is also sometimes referred to as rise over run. The change in y is the vertical change, that's how much you're rising. The change in x is the horizontal change, and that's the change in the running. Slope can be one of the following. It can be positive. That means that the line is increasing. And increasing and decreasing are always as you move from left to right. So if a line is increasing, then it's going up as we move from left to right. It can be negative, and that means the line is decreasing. Now remember, a line goes off in both directions, so again, decreasing means it goes down as we move from left to right. As we move from right to left, our line is actually increasing. And again, it's always in the form of going from left to right. It can be zero. Remember, zero is kind of neither positive nor negative, it's neutral, and that means the line is horizontal. So 0 means that delta y is 0, so there's no rise. And if I'm not rising, I'm only running, which is from left to right. Undefined. Undefined is when the denominator is 0, right? You cannot divide by 0. So when the run is 0, that means we're only rising. And if we're only rising, then we're going to get this type of line. And that is known as vertical. So we either have an increasing line, a decreasing line, a horizontal line with 0 slope, or a vertical line with undefined slope. And typically when you say no slope, that means undefined. So there's a difference between a slope of 0 and no slope. No slope is undefined, is a vertical line. So you want to be careful when you use the word no slope. That means undefined, not 0. So we're going to use the formula that we had, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and we're going to find the slope of the line between the following points. 3, 2, and 0, negative 2. So I'm going to call one of those points x1, y1, one of them x2, y2. I'm just going to go in order. So my first one I'm going to call x1, y1. The second one I'm going to call x2, y2. But again, it doesn't matter, you're going to get the same answer at the end. So I'm going to take my negative 2 and subtract 2. Take my 0 and subtract 3. So remember, it's the y's on top, the x's on bottom. And if I simplify that, I'll have negative 4 over negative 3, but those negatives cancel, and we're left with positive 4/3. So always make sure that you simplify your answer, and don't ever put a slope as a decimal or a mixed number. It's either an integer or a fraction, whether it's improper or proper. Okay, so no mixed numbers, no decimals, unless it specifically asks you sometime, which in this case, this course I don't think it's ever going to. So we want an integer or a fraction. What about 1, 3, and 1, negative 4? So again, I'm going to have my first point be x1, y1, my second point be x2, y2. So I take my negative 4 and subtract 3. That's on the top. On the bottom, 1 minus 1. Now remember, 1 minus 1 is 0, and you cannot divide by 0, so that means it's undefined. 2, -4, and 1, 1. So 1 minus -4, notice we have a double negative there, so that will become 1 plus 4. And then 1 minus 2. So 1 minus -4, again, is 1 plus 4, that's 5. 1 minus 2 is -1. 5 divided by -1 is -5. And then for our last one, -1, 2, and 5, 2. So 2 minus 2 over 5 minus -1. So again, we have a double negative there. The numerator, 2 minus 2 is 0. The denominator, 6. 0 divided by 6 is 0. Okay, so we have an example of a positive slope. We have an undefined slope, a negative slope, and a 0 slope. Okay, so make sure you play around with this, try out the homework, and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.